Watch Who?
Hello, and welcome to To Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Yep, watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Yes, and it's the War Games Part 2 this week.
Ooh.
So, Sarah, the time has come for you to give your verdict on the War Games and begin this episode. Dun, dun, dun.
Thanks, Mark. You do remember that at the end of the last episode, you chucked me into the Sidrat,
yeah. It's fine. We're back now. We're on that trial scene at the end.
Oh,
now.
okay.
We're with the Timelords. They've left us alone for a while to chat about to record the podcast and chat and
chat about the trial.
Chat about the trial, and then they'll come back. So we better not be too long. But yeah, this is episode 6 to 10 of the War Games. We have just watched the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Literally just now. So I don't actually know. We have not talked about this.
No,
so,
Mark came straight down to set up.
Yeah, as soon as that episode finished, I was like, well, episode 6 then, we left with Jamie and the Resistance had come out of the thing, and they'd all been, like, knocked out, basically.
Yes.
So, and actually, the cliffhangers were getting a little bit repetitive.
I don't know, 6 was good. They got squashed.
And then, but then it's all, I don't know, because it's always like, oh no, someone's gone off in the TARDIS or someone's been knocked out. It's pretty much what's happened. So my first question is, did the security chief get on your nerves as this story went on?
No.
I can't believe it.
But I can understand why he might.
I have the situation under control, Warlord.
But he didn't get on, like we've had worse.
Okay, then. Okay, I don't know. I still very much am annoyed by him.
Yeah, I was like, I think he's great. Like, he's very menacing. He's really, like, on it, menacing.
Okay. Well, so...
In fact, him and the Warlord, as a race, you can tell that they're a scary race. Because obviously the other one's a Time Lord, we learn, isn't he?
The War Chief, yes.
Yeah. So the other two are of the same race, and they're very, like, scary. They're scary.
They both wear the same glasses.
They all wear the same glasses, yellow glasses, but they're scary, yeah. Okay.
Well, so in episode 6, the War Chief in discussion, actually it's the science guy. That science guy mentions the Time Lords. That's the first mention of the Time Lords.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will at me if it's not or whatever. But
well, I've not noticed it before.
When I was watching closely, they haven't mentioned Time Lords at all so far. They've said the other race, haven't they? Or the Doctor's race. But that science guy says he has the Time Lord's knowledge or something like that. So we know that the War Chief is a Time Lord.
Are you suggesting he's bringing in his own people? The Time Lords?
Which I was sort of skirting around last week because I didn't want to give it all away, but it was sort of obvious.
Yeah.
So that guy should be, that science guy that we didn't talk about, he is the one. He should be in Doctor Who history. Why does nobody talk about that science guy for naming the Time Lords for the first time?
We're here, Mark. We're mentioning him.
I don't know what his name is, but he is there.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more of what has come before. So I'm going to sort of talk about, I've made some notes of some other highlights.
I'll be honest, I'm just going to throw it out. Episode 6, it happens, but for me, 7, 8, 9, 10 are where it's at.
Right, okay. Well, just in episode 6, actually, on my notes, I don't know why I wrote this, I just noticed Jamie needs a bit of a haircut. Jamie's hair is really big in this episode. I think he was lying down on the Resistance thing, and it's just his hair is just so long. Jamie just needs a bit of a trim by this point in the season.
They were probably quite busy. He's not had time to get a haircut.
Yeah, well, it's just a little bit too much for me. There we go.
Just for the record, Mark, how often do you get a haircut?
Every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. So, if you're not keeping up to Mark's ridiculous hair regime, then...
Well, it's nice to go in, chat to the barber and catch up and have my haircut.
It's so ridiculous. Nobody knows. If Mark goes 4 weeks, he has a freak.
But then I'm used to it have been short now, especially at the sides, and then they razor in the line and stuff.
Yeah.
So... if that goes, after 3 weeks, that goes.
Well, yeah, because when you get to 4, and I go, Mark, no one notices a week. And you're like, yeah, but they might, no one
Although
notices.
actually, I have been so busy lately. It has been 4 weeks, nearly 5 some points. So
Wow.
yeah.
But lockdown's nothing. I mean, you're used to that now.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, the only other thing that happens in 6 as well is.
In fact, sorry, if you ever want to wind Mark up, just mention something with his hair. That's all.
No, it's not that bad.
Mark, I was like, what did you had like? I can't remember what it was. Once.
Something in my hair.
And it was in for like ages, and you got really upset that we didn't say anything to you. You put gel in, and there was like a lump of it at the front. And you were like, why didn't you say? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
you've been like that for hours. I don't know what to say. So just mention anything with Mark's hair, and he like loses it. Or like, sometimes I'll look at you and just go, is your hair off? And you're like, what? No, I'm like, no, I'm just winding you up.
Anyway, episode 6. Well, speaking of which, so the bald monocle man.
Yes. Speaking of hair.
He gets killed.
Yeah.
He was a good villain as well, actually. I don't know his name.
He was,
the
yeah. Monocle dude.
Yeah, so back in the American Civil War bit, he gets killed. There's a bit of back and forth. And the young guy that's holding him hostage is Patrick Troughton's son.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's nice.
And also, I'm just looking at my notes of the Doctor's got a hole in his trousers. I don't know if you noticed
I
that.
noticed it at the end, and I was like, because he always had a hole. Not in the end, sorry. When he was... Sorry, I am jumping ahead, but I noticed it the episode when he makes a box.
Yeah, that was like episode 9. I noticed it in episode 6, so I don't know if he's had that earlier on or what happened.
And we've just always missed him having a hole. He might have always had a hole in his trousers.
He could have always had. It just stood out to me for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed it when he was getting up, and I was like, he's still got that hole in his trousers. Oh, he has a hole.
Yeah, maybe it's just end of season costume. There we go.
Yeah,
that's our close
they're like,
watch.
we're not going to do that up. He's leaving.
So there's a lot of organising the resistance, and that's basically what these episodes are about.
Yeah, I'd say 6 and 7.
Well, 6, 7, and 8 really.
Are about organising the resistance and sorting out that.
What happens? Yeah. So, I mean, nothing particularly new. Did it hold your interest, though? I mean, I know we've done sort of 5 and 5 and had a break.
Yeah, so I did 6 by itself, and then we did 7, 8, 9, 10 together. That worked in terms of, like, me holding interest for 7, 8, 9, 10.
It hasn't felt like a slog because, sometimes...
I think
even
5
with 6,
together would have been a lot.
Say, like, with the invasion, you were like, oh, this is going... that was 8. There was still always something interesting.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
6, I could have watched 7, but I'm really glad I only did 4 together just now and not 5. I think if I hadn't watched 6, like, before we sat together and we'd have just watched all 5, I think I'd have just been like, whew, okay.
It's not really a binge one to do, is it?
That said... 9 and 10 are brilliant.
Well, that's very different. They seem very separate, especially 10.
Yeah. But 9, like, something big, you try and, like, 9 and 10 are great. Like, I was really excited for when 9 started.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
Sorry, I know, but
yeah.
I'm just saying. And then 10, I was also like, yes.
Yeah. So going into 7, this is where we meet the Warlord. And you have to say it like that. Apparently. And he's the guy in the Crotons.
So, just to reiterate.
Okay, oh my
Go on,
gosh.
Mark.
All right, well, so last episode, you did say, has anybody in this been in Doctor Who before?
Yeah.
And I shot you down and said no, which we've probably been at it at a million times since that episode went out. Because actually there are quite a few people in this that have been in Doctor Who before.
Yeah.
So the Warlord was the angry young men leader guy in the Crotons.
Yeah.
But he looks completely different here. He's had his head shaved.
Yeah.
He's had his hair cut. And he's grown a beard. So he looks completely different. So you wouldn't necessarily recognise him.
No.
So all of this talk of the Warlord, all this building up of the Warlord and the security chief, I will report you to the Warlord and all this stuff. When he appears, did he match your expectations? What were you imagining the Warlord to be? I mean,
he did. He has a good presence.
I have the situation under control, Warlord. It is only a matter of time before they are recaptured.
Then I hope that time is on your side.
Like, I think he has because it's sort of a presence of... I imagine he's the kind of guy you think I could make friends with. Like, as in, like, I could win him over. I could get him on my side. Because he seems quite nice. But actually, I can imagine him being a killer as well. I can't explain. Whereas, like, the security chief is, like, through and through, like, just bad, evil. The warlord is just a touch more charismatic. So you kind of see it. The Doctor almost tries to talk him round, doesn't he?
And you are talking about the warlord, yeah, not the war chief.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the warlord is the head of this other race of war people that love war.
Yeah.
He's very much in the background. He's powerful, but he's not in the background because you've got the war chief.
Yeah.
And then you've got the security chief, haven't you? So it's sort of this menacing, he's all in black in the background.
He reminds me of Steve Jobs.
Right, yeah. Okay.
In that, you hear it, but Steve Jobs was very, like, nasty. You hear these stories about
really?
Steve.
Okay.
Yeah. You hear stories where he'd, like, shout at employees and throw things at them and stuff. But then when he's out there in the public promoting a new Apple product and he's like, hey, the new MacBook or whatever, when he was alive, like, very, very charismatic in that sense. Well, he died, didn't he? Don't laugh, Mark.
No, sorry, I wasn't like...
I'm just sitting...
But the warlord isn't this, hey, buy a MacBook kind of guy. He doesn't have any emotion to me. He just walks in and has this...
See, I think...
has this presence, but he doesn't have a
But I think when he's
happiness.
with the Doctor, because the Doctor tries to talk him over, he's like, I'm on your side. And he sees right through it and he sort of smirks about it. And even when he's like up on trial, he's very like powerful, smirky, charismatic showman sort of he doesn't say anything, stand in his ground. I don't know. I seem very Steve Jobs like.
I think he looks a bit like Klopp. Sorry, he does a little bit, doesn't he?
I was just drinking some water then.
Sorry.
I was not expecting you to mention Jurgen Klopp. Well, Liverpool for everyone. No, because Jurgen Klopp is a god. He was not a god. I guess...
warlord? He is.
I really fancy Jurgen Klopp. And I don't fancy the warlord, so no.
He's a little bit like
But if
him.
you're going to use that, Jurgen Klopp is so charismatic. So that comes back to my whole charisma thing. And you're like, he has no emotion. Jurgen Klopp is full of emotion. I'm sorry, but like...
the warlord has no emotion.
Yeah, so he's not like Jurgen Klopp.
No. But he's got... I can see what you mean about the warlord having that slight sense of humour, or he knows what's what. I think he knows the bigger picture of things, and he knows exactly what's going on. He knows that the security chief is a dick, and he knows that the war chief is sort of not on his side and has got his own thing.
The war chief's... Oh, no, security. Sorry, yeah, I mixed them up in my head.
So they should have so many different names. It's like...
Sorry,
I can't keep up. I'm actually surprised how well we're doing.
He knows, I think... Because the security chief is definitely on his side.
The security chief is, but he's not very good. He's in this category of like Packer and...
Yes.
Not Carlton. Who else? Those sort of number twos that are trying to do the best that they can, but they just keep failing and it just doesn't work. He's one of those.
Yeah, he's not against the Doctor, so it's not. He's probably done very well.
All the security chief cares about is making sure the war chief doesn't get his way. They don't like each other. They don't want each other to succeed. They're not all working on the same team, so they're not going to get it done because they're just bickering the whole time. And then the warlord comes in and he's like, I'm not having any of it. Like, I'm just on a higher level than all of you.
He's so good. I really like. He's very he's Steve Jobs to me. And I think maybe it's the all black as well, because Steve Jobs used to wear all black.
Did he? I don't know. No.
Steve Jobs is now going to be in this image. I can see it.
And Klopp.
Hang on. You know what Steve Jobs looks like, don't you? Here,
I don't know.
hang on.
I think I've seen an advert for a MacBook. Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you mean now. Yeah, okay. Yes, he does look like Steve Jobs.
It's not just the glasses.
Okay, anyway, moving on from the warlord then.
Do you think Steve Jobs dressed himself on the warlord?
maybe he
all
watched
black.
that and was like, I'm running
He
this
looks like a man of
company.
It was like, he's like a man of power. Sorry.
Just speaking of the War Chief, though, he's been in Doctor Who before, which I should have known this. I cannot believe this. So the guy that plays the War Chief was in the Reign of Terror and played Leon, our Barbara love interest. Leon, who almost got a Oscar.
Got a Oscar, yeah.
We haven't talked about Leon for a while, have we?
No, well, we are now.
Leon, yeah. So that's
one for the books.
I was going to say a flash from the past. Is that what they...
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know. So then we go back to... We sort of loop round again in this story. So we go back to Smythe and the chateau and everything. So Smythe's had a few weeks off. He eventually gets shot, so he's off.
Yeah.
I noticed Jamie doing a lot of fighting in this.
Yeah.
He's very much in the resistance.
He's in his element.
He's getting the guns. He's using the guns. He's
Yeah.
punching security guards. He's doing it. He's getting all the action in. He's a proper fighter now.
He is, yeah. He's good.
And they make the chateau this base, so it's all safe around. So all the resistance are coming in. And then I think the Doctor is then taken away out of it and leaves Jamie and Zoe there. So they're separated again. So then in episode 8, you have that really interesting chat with the Doctor and the War Chief.
Yeah.
And this is the most explanation we've got about the Doctor's origins and the race. And it's all just flooding out now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering, what have we had? When the Doctor met the monk, what did they say? Oh, I recognise you, or he's from my own people. I know he had the TARDIS and everything, and that was a great moment. This is sort of on that level, and just pushes it above now, doesn't it? Because you just get so much information. And it's funny that they haven't even done any, like season 6, and we still are only just finding this stuff out.
We were both Time Lords, but we both decided to leave our race. I had reasons of my own, just as I had. Your reasons are only too obvious. Power.
Well, I guess there's never been a need to give the Doctor, like, part of the mystery of the Doctor is that. So now we've broken the mystery.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. Like, as in...
I know you already you know who the Time Lords are already and everything.
Yes, but I liked it because it needed, as a story, we needed big change. And in the same way that, like, it just gives it a little bit, like, it raises other questions for me, like, how did Susan get on board? As the granddaughter. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just gives another depth to that character, and it just moves the story in. Like, you always see the Doctor as this time traveling goodie. Actually, to learn that he's left because he disagreed, there's issues there, it's not all daisies,
Because I think you said in episode 1, Unearthly Child, that him and Susan were cut off from his own people.
Yeah.
And they can't go back or something like that. That's all we got then.
Yeah.
And here we do, it's really good to hear that explanation and to find out just a little bit more. Not everything, it's still so many questions.
I mean...
But I wonder how, in terms of the viewers then, because, the people that were watching 6 years ago might not be watching now, and this all might be...
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what I'm saying about that, but...
I don't know what you're saying about that.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just find it very interesting that you suddenly find this stuff out. We also get some nice comedy through this, with the Mexican guy turns up, the bandits.
Love him.
And then Jamie's got to dress up and pretend to be the leader and everything. Nice Zoe and Jamie moments, because they haven't had a chance, really, in all of this. It's been high stakes, like you said, the big story and the adventure. We haven't had those...
We've had a classic Jamie being sexist moment, though. When
we've had a few of those, haven't we?
We've had a few, and it's only
Jennifer as well.
Yeah, but it's only really been with Zoe that he's been like
it's
that.
It's done for comedy, though.
It's done for comedy, but like they wouldn't make that nowadays.
Oh,
it's up for time. It's of its time.
But it is comedy. It's not done in not like a Brigadier way.
No. Just like it happens way. It happens. You can't escape. You can't escape the fact it happened.
But it's nice that within all of this, you still get that funny moment with the Jamie dressing up, and he's got the.
I think the difference is the way he says it isn't like him winding her leg up. It's like it's something he believes.
You'll never win unless you all work together. It's the only way.
Why you let a woman speak for you?
Well, why not? Only if she's right, of course.
I know, I see it as in winding her up. Are you saying it because it's going to wind her up?
I don't know. Like, if he said it in a way,
Because,
I feel like he'd be
like in The
smiling and
Invasion.
joking more like, oh, yeah.
Well, he knows. He had Zoe and Isabel on him in The Invasion. He knows
Yeah.
that, so he's saying it again to wind her up, I
I
think.
don't know. I don't see it that way. I see it more like a,
And obviously...
oh, well, that's the right thing. Like, in a sort of like a, and maybe it's because I'm female. Maybe it's in a way that sometimes men can say something because they think they have the upper hand of a situation.
Right. Okay.
So I saw it more like, and it's the time. Look, I'm not criticising it. It was the 60s, end of 60s, granted, but, you know, people still make comments like that nowadays. It don't make any difference. Like, but that wouldn't happen nowadays.
The other soldiers wouldn't listen to Zoe in
No.
that way, because they're from that time.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's got to do that. But it's good to see then Zoe standing in the middle of them and saying this.
Yeah,
and
Zoe's
rounded
definitely
up.
in control
And then
of that situation.
But then Zoe is in control. So
Yeah.
in that way,
Yeah.
okay, you have the joke, but sort of makes up for it that Zoe is
Yeah.
in charge of the whole situation.
Like, let's not forget,
And she's
Jamie is of
and
the
Zoe
15th century,
Zoe
isn't
is
he?
the most intelligent person in
Yes.
that whole room.
Yeah, but not Zoe.
17th, 16th,
Jamie's 16th
Yeah.
century,
Yeah.
not 15th. Victoria was 15th, wasn't she?
17th. Victoria was Victorian.
Oh,
1745, Jamie is from.
okay, so he's 16th century.
Yeah.
Something like that. I get it mixed up. Maybe I can't remember. I've forgotten how it works. Someone will correct us. So he's that century. So of course he's going to have some of those views. It's not like he's suddenly travelling and completely has disregarded everything. So I do believe there's still a part of that century of him that would be like, well, the women are below us because that's what they did. Because that's
Like Kirsty, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The Doctor pretends to be this traitor, doesn't he? So we have all that, and again, and that makes another cliffhanger. And by this point, I'm like, I just want to get on because I know what's happening and I want you to see what's going on.
Yeah.
There's more explanation. The War Chief has brought this TARDIS technology, but it doesn't work for it. So that basically we find out the whole plan, don't we, about the warlike race. They're training these soldiers, basically. They want to take over everything, and they're using like the human race. And this is, I am skipping quite a lot ahead.
That's fine.
Within that, the security chief gets killed.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, and what a OTT.
Oh, it's a brilliant death.
Death in
Oh, it's
that.
fantastic.
Of course he's going to go out like that.
But also,
And I was like, yes, finally.
sometimes these deaths can feel really corny. It didn't even feel corny, his death. It was such a good death. Like, yes, well done him, the actor.
Okay.
Because, ultimately, it's like me going, woo, and you have to, like, die, Mark, and you have to, like, it's so good. He's so great at it. It's one of the best ones. So some of the others are just like, you know.
Okay. And within all this, the Doctor has to make that tough decision. He needs to save everyone, to send everybody back, but he can't do it.
No.
So like we said, it's such a grand scheme that even the Doctor can't. So the stakes feel so high.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, he'll have to get in touch with the Time Lords. So what are you thinking at this point?
Well, I said before, he's got a lot to do. Like, even for the Doctor, this is a lot to do. I said that at the end of last episode. So, to some extent, it doesn't surprise me that he's had to get someone else in, be it the Time Lords in this instance.
So they are on their way, and the Doctor does this cool thing with a box.
The box is so cool. Like, that was, like, I was like, I want to stick some things on the floor and sit there really calmly and meditate. And then make a box. That's what I want to do.
And Jamie and Zoe want to come with the Doctor. And Carstairs as well, because he wants to meet Lady Jennifer
Who
again.
I'd completely forgotten
I
about.
thought she turned up again. I could have sworn she came back again.
No.
Because I really liked her. But then I'm putting down Carstairs and Lady Jennifer as our next couple.
You don't see him again.
Yeah,
at
I know,
all.
but I thought you did. And he wants to go back and see her.
There's
so in
not
my
even a
mind, he went back and
guarantee.
saw her.
There's not even a guarantee when he's gone back that he'll remember her.
Okay, well, you just totally shattered that illusion for us all. But I'm putting down Carstairs and Jennifer as a couple.
Yeah. Do you honestly think that the Time Lords, with what they can do, are going to send everyone back and remember that there was a space thing? Put them back in, like, World War
They
One.
came from there both the time and the they were both together anyway, weren't they, in the same thing? So
They
could
might
still
meet again, but they
again.
won't have the history that brought them together.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
just saying, they're not going to be like, oh, we'll send them back. But you guys that were in that Mexican war, like umpteen years ago, don't forget you were in space. Okay, off you. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, they'll have forgotten and they'll be back in their war and it'll be like the end of the war so that they can have peace.
Yeah.
That's what will
Okay.
happen. Or like fight.
So my standout moment in this lot, well, there's so many actually, but end of episode 9 is a great cliffhanger where the Dr. Jamie and Zoe are in slow motion trying to get, and the organ music is playing and something really epic is happening.
The organ's so
when
eerie and
when
dramatic.
I first watched this cliffhanger, I was like, I think I got chills.
Yeah,
It was
bet.
so
It's really good.
great because you don't know what is coming. Don't know what is after them. It's this mysterious force, and there's a doctor trying to get the key. And do you know what? I always think of this moment whenever I like come home from the pub or something, trying to get my key through the door late at night. I always think of that doctor stretching to get his key in the door.
I always think of...
that always comes into my head. This cliffhanger coming home after drinking.
I will always think of this now whenever I need the loo. And I'm trying to get my key in the door.
Yeah, it's that moment you're like, oh, come on. Yeah. Okay, and then I know we've skipped through, but episode 10 is what we need to talk about.
Okay.
This is the one, isn't it? So the Doctor is on the run from the Time Lords.
Yeah.
And we get some... It's a little bit silly, isn't it? That they're like, oh no, we're underwater.
Sorry,
and oh no, we're here.
Can we just go back one sec to 9 when the Doctor's like, I've got to go. And Jamie and Zoe are like, no, we can't leave. He goes, all right, okay. Like, he is so easily persuaded. Considering that he will be on trial and he knows that, and we don't know that yet, but he is so easily persuaded by them.
Yeah, but he wants to go with Jamie and Zoe. He wants to try and get away. It's not... He's saying it because, okay, this is the sensible thing to do. I need to go off on my own. Of course he's going to say, oh, all right then, because he wants the adventure. And how many times do they try and get away?
Yeah.
He wants that to carry on because he knows what's going to happen. You have the underwater bit. We see that clip from Fury from the Deep of the TARDIS landing on the sea.
Water, yeah.
I think it's a bit silly when there's crocodiles and sharks and stuff. It's all a bit...
I enjoyed, like, the TARDIS dripping in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It went on, it may be one too long.
It might be because I know what's coming, and I'm like, oh, come on, let's get to it. But, they got to fill out that episode, I suppose, as well.
No, I think it was maybe one leap. I liked that they ended in sea, and then they ended in space.
Yeah.
And then I think the next one could have been the Time Lords, whereas actually it was like then alligators. I think maybe another. I can't remember, but there's definitely So
and then we land on the planet of the Time Lords.
Yeah.
Not named yet, by the way, as well. No one actually says what it's called yet.
no, just his home planet.
The home planet. What were you expecting from the... Well, because the first you hear is that voice in the TARDIS, which is very menacing and great.
Yeah. In fact, it made me think that the TARDIS was just an illusion.
Oh.
So, like, actually, they got in it, but it never existed, and it was just moving around, and they were like...
They'd already been captured.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's what it made me think. Because his voice boomed in as in, like...
I was thinking, though, if all of the times to pull that thing and go back out of time and space, like in the land of fiction, this is the time to do it.
Well, when he said there's one thing we could do, I thought he was going to try and do that and it not work or something, but no.
But there's no escaping the Time Lords.
No.
With this very powerful race, and then we land and we see them, and we see 3 of them, basically.
Yeah.
And they're led out, and we see then the Warlord.
We meet 5 in total,
Well, 5, yeah, okay.
But...
I knew you were going to say that when I said 3. I was waiting for you to say that. There's 2 technicians as well, okay?
Yeah, let's not forget the technicians. They die. Also, really going back, can we give a shout out to the technician for the War Games?
Oh, okay. So there's this guy, the one that presses play on the tape for the war.
Yeah.
The security chief.
And then has to keep pushing buttons for like all the announcements and stuff.
Yeah, we see him get shot. You really liked him for some reason. Every time he was in the background, you're like, he's got a great job.
I want what he does. Like, he's just there. He's amongst it all in his own screen, has no lines.
He just wears them glasses.
Yeah, and then gets shot.
And gets shot. There we are.
Yeah, anyway, just want to shout out to him.
Unsung hero of who? So we see the warlord again, and he has his trial.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of back and forth there. I completely forgot that he tried to escape as well. All his guards arrive. I don't know how they get onto the planet of the Time Lords, but they do. I thought that was a really dramatic moment when they make him talk and they do the light and he screams out.
Yeah, it's great because you realise how powerful they are.
Yeah, and you see the eyes of that Time Lord doing the thing, and it's really scary because I don't know if they're just sweating in studio or they've been made a little bit shiny because they're all like they all look a bit waxy, shiny and alien-y. They just look powerful. Yeah, and because it's very minimalist set with the light on them. And they've got the robe. A robe means power. Lucky it wasn't the Dominator's curtains. Imagine if you turned up and you wouldn't think they were powerful then, would you? No. Then they say with the Warlord, you're going to be as if you never existed. Again, that's another power. You're like, oh, okay. And you know that the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe are up next. Okay, well, let's talk about the moment, Jamie and Zoe. So, were you expecting them to both leave in this? Because, okay, you knew this was the end of the second Doctor, but did you think Jamie and Zoe
Not like this. I don't know, actually. I feel like it was becoming more clear that they were going to go and that they weren't going to get away. But it's still sad that it happened like this.
They'll forget me, won't they?
Not entirely. They will be returned to a moment in time just before they went away with you. They will remember their first adventure with you, but nothing more.
It's a really sad ending, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, particularly for Jamie, but actually, it's a sad ending, but it's a great ending for them. Because what a way to go.
Oh, it's really sad because Jamie, I think, longest companion we've had so far.
Yeah.
He's been through so much and he's progressed so much. The tragic thing for me is that he's gone through all of that development, he's learnt so much and experienced so much, and then he just goes straight back to being the sort of more savage Highlander.
That's the sad part. Like, they'll at least they also get that first meeting of the Doctor. Yeah. So they remember
Oh my God, okay. Shout out. Were you ever expecting to see Tanya?
No, I was not.
Oh my God.
Were you?
I can't believe they brought Tanya back.
Were you? Did you remember
amazing.
that?
No, I knew. Yeah, I know, but I didn't love Tanya as much as I do now watching back. So I was like,
I wanted you to say something about her nose. That's what I was waiting for.
This is, the War Games featuring Tanya.
Oh
Come on.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, it was great.
And again, so that way that Zoe's like, oh, yeah, nothing. I thought there was something, but there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
That is. But I think in terms of, like, their story compared to others that have left, what a way to go.
Well, it's this forced ending because actually they would never, like Jamie would never choose to leave the Doctor.
No.
I mean, okay, he might meet someone or something, but even then, like Samantha, he could have stayed with Samantha.
Yeah.
He'd choose the Doctor over Samantha. So to have that forced is sort of the only way that they could go because they wouldn't do it themselves, would they?
No. See, again, looking back, like Victoria's felt a legitimate leaving.
Yes.
That felt right.
Yeah.
And you're right. They wouldn't have left any other way. I can't think of a way that Jamie, the Highlander, would have given up this life of adventure.
Unless he got killed.
Which could have happened. There was a part of me that wondered whether he would die. Once it became clear what could happen and that they'd sent people back to their time, I thought they're going to do that. They're going to send them back. It's just sad that they don't remember their life and journey But I guess then they can't because otherwise they'd always want to get back to the Doctor and the adventure. But what a great way to go as well compared to or let's Ressi Dodo, who
I know, I was about to
didn't even
Dodo.
get to appear on screen. So
exactly, I think it's a great and it's a memorable one. It's one that fans,
it's part of an epic story and what a way to like sort of leave. Yeah, I think it's really good.
So shall we, at this point, do you want me to tell you what happens to Jamie and Zoe in expanded media?
Sure.
About what happens to them.
Which one first?
Next? Well, let's go for Jamie first.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Life after the Doctor.
Okay.
Jamie went on to marry Kirsty.
Oh.
And they had more barons than there are days in the week, apparently, with numerous grandchildren by 1788.
Of course.
In the audios,
Yeah.
and this happens to Jamie and Zoe as well, they have some other adventures. So what happens is the Time Lord's sort of brainwashing wears off.
Right.
Eventually, and they start to remember. So there's a story where a Time Lord comes back to meet an older Jamie, and try because of the brainwashing thing and everything. And then Jamie tells some other, stories of his adventures and things. And there's a whole trilogy and more of Zoe starting to have memories of stuff. So she's basically, there's this short audio that she's basically having therapy, basically talking about like, what are these? Is this me? Did this happen to me? I can remember it, but I don't remember it actually happening and stuff like that. So, and then in sort of comics and stuff, I think the Sixth Doctor meets Jamie.
There's comics. Hang on, whoa. There's Doctor Who comics.
Yeah.
You've never mentioned that. I just thought there was books and audio.
There's tons of comics.
Oh my God, did not know this. That's new information in itself, Mark. Oh my God. Right, okay.
Okay, we won't get to the comics then.
No, go on, tell me.
Well, here we go. When the Sixth Doctor next met him, he had miscalculated and arrived 40 years later than he intended to. Jamie lived as an elderly pariah in his village and lamented that the Doctor shouldn't have had to see him as an old man. Jamie had managed to retain memories of his travels using the tricks Doctor had taught him, and because the Time Lords had a less than perfect understanding of the human mind. So there's this whole other, in the books, maybe some of the audios, this whole sort of post-season after the War Games, where supposedly the Time Lords use the Doctor as basically an agent, a secret agent. So the second Doctor carries on for a little bit with Jamie, and the Time Lords send him on missions and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is called the Season 6B theory, which some fans like, some fans don't.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
So there's a whole possible other tons of adventures set after this.
Yeah, okay.
As well, where I think Jamie must get his memories back as well. So, they don't do too bad. I'm just going to... Okay, here we go. So Zoe, I don't know what this is from. It says, according to one account, which may have been a dream, Zoe went into a coma after the Doctor linked her to the TARDIS's telepathic circuits. She woke up 23 years later, having dreamed not only her adventures with the Doctor, but also K9 and other future events. The Seventh Doctor visited her and encouraged her to write down all her dreams on a typewriter, telling her that a lot of people were depending on her.
Oh.
She began with the Dominators episode 1, apparently. Oh, yeah, that's her first story. That makes sense.
Yeah.
While she was working on Urticorp project at Station XZ49, the Third Doctor arrived, pretending to be an academic named Dr. John Smith. But when Zoe saw the TARDIS, she collapsed because the sudden return of her memories caused her to lose them completely as a result. And then another thing, after discovering that she had aged by 2 years after the only experience with the Doctor and Jamie she could recall, Zoe deduced that she had more adventures with the Doctor, which had been wiped from her memory. After about a month after her return to the wheel was attacked by a cyber ship. Due to her slight build, Zoe was judged unfit for conversion into a Cyberman. But upon scanning her brain and recognising her above-average intelligence, the Cybermen decided she would be suitable for conversion into a Cyber Planner.
Oh.
The conversion caused Zoe's memories of the Doctor to resurface. A lot of it is her, but with Jamie and Zoe, just trying to get their memories back. That's the basis, obviously. Oh, in 2119, in her late 50s, Zoe lived alone and struggled to form relationships as a consequence of her damage to her memory. At this time, she was approached by a young woman, Ali, who claimed to have met the Dr. Jamie and a younger Zoe in Australia. There's all sorts of so that's where they end up, really. So again, loads of possibilities at least. Poor Zoe. So they're all a bit.
Do you know what? This is a general thing with all the companions. They get like damaged in some way from being with the Doctor. Once they leave him, they're very damaged by him. It's a very negative
relation.
Barbara
got away with that.
They're probably the only ones because they had each other. Polly was like some sort of mistress of the night, wasn't she? Like,
Well, Jamie, I
let's
like.
not even go into Dodo.
No, exactly. I like Jamie marrying Kirsty and settling down.
Of course you do.
Are. So what a sad ending. What a sad ending.
Yeah. And we don't see the face change.
And then
I'm like ready to start the next one.
Okay, and then
but we can't because we got the Duskers.
Okay, and then going to the doctor, he has that great speech and he shows the monsters. He starts with the quark. He starts with the quark.
Yeah.
Of all the things, it's like, let me see. This is what I've been doing. The deadliest creatures, the quarks. It's like you could have started with the Daleks. It would have made your
Well, you've got
argument
to
a bit
build
more.
to it, I guess.
Yeah,
See, they all build, don't they? Because the quarks, then it's the Yeti, then it's Mars,
Ice Warriors.
then it was Cybermen, then it was... So they build in terms of, like, deadliness.
Yeah.
It's just,
But
the
it's a
quarks are
great
cute.
sort of final speech, final ending.
It is, yeah.
It's so different to how the first Doctor went out.
Yes.
Were you expecting that sort of trial thing, or were you
No.
expecting the Doctor to sort of collapse and it just to happen?
I thought there'd be some sort of a collapse, or like maybe he had to do something that used so much of his energy to get everyone back that then he collapsed and changed, or something like that.
I don't like the bit where they're like, oh, here, you can choose who you want to be, and then there's these like ink drawings.
Yeah,
of course.
and the first one looks like Darwin or something.
Yeah, I think it probably is. It's probably someone's sketched Darwin in the office and stuck it on the overhead projector. So
So weird.
yeah, that's a bit of an odd one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then that sort of ending, the Doctor's sort of in, screaming for it not to happen, and it's not a nice way to go out to end the whole series.
No, but it's a great cliffhanger. Like, I want to watch the next episode.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. A completely new slate. It's not like we've got a companion to go over with or anything.
No.
Completely new. So you literally don't know any of the characters.
No, I don't even know what his face is. No,
That's
I don't.
so exciting. You don't even know who the next Doctor is. And I'm not going to tell you until we start watching. How exciting is that?
Yeah.
Because we're going over to colour next as well.
Oh, no, that'll be weird.
We'll be in 1970. This is 69.
Yeah.
The next series is 1970.
It's going to be weird watching it in colour.
We're in
It's
the
gonna feel so
in
different.
the 70s, yeah. We've come to the end of we have finished the 60s.
I think I need time to process it.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
Because it's not what I expected it to be, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I feel like I need that time to, like... It's not like we ended like, and that's a new face. I don't know what he's going to... I've literally no idea. So, but it's really good. I've only positive things to say.
I'm so glad, because I thought you might be like, 10 episodes.
I was a bit. I'm glad we did it in 2 parts.
It didn't feel like that.
But it doesn't
to me.
feel like that.
Like, you didn't complain to me very much.
No. And I honestly...
Sometimes you do.
Well, I think the next episode is when I'll be able to reflect on this Doctor when I meet the new one. It's such a weird cliffhanger. It's really hard to reflect on just everything that's happened, because so much happens. Whether it was or wasn't, it felt like a planned final hurrah for him.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they knew it was coming. He'd accepted it. He said, this is my last season. So they've had a whole season to just, like, big dreams idea for Doctor and plan for a really good final hurrah. And that's kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, it's a shame Zoe only did 1 season.
Yeah, because she's great. She's really
Yeah,
good.
and no one ever got on our note. We weren't waiting for them to leave. We didn't,
No.
And
actually, I've nothing bad to say about Zoe. Normally, a companion, I'm getting, like, even Jamie a little bit in this towards the end, you get a bit like, okay, like, I said to you, I was like, I feel like he's going soon. Like, Zoe, she could have done it. I could easily have carried on seeing Zoe.
Again, in this,
She's so much energy to her.
Knowledge and her scientific
Yeah.
and her photographic memory came in useful in this again,
Yeah.
right up to the end.
So, yeah, great.
Oh,
Well, there we go, Mark. I'll finish it because you're just sat there being reflective and sad.
okay, well, I mean...
And we'll just have, like, silence on it.
So we'll have a little bit of a break, won't we? And then we'll be back with the Doskers.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back with our special 1960s All-Stars Awards, looking back at the whole of the decade and awarding the best of the best.
Best of the best, yeah.
And then we will be moving on to the 70s.
And the third Doctor.
And the third Doctor.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the next story.
Okay.
What it's called. I know it's ages away yet. It's called Spearhead from Space.
Oh, okay. I will wait and see.
And it's 4 episodes, so it's an easy start.
Yeah, that is a nice easy start. Great.
And there's only 4 stories in season 7.
Wow, what? Some of them long.
Well, yeah. Quite long.
Right.
But there's only 4 stories, so it's going to be a short one season for us before we get back onto another Oscars. So
Oh my
there we
God.
go. I'm not going to say any more. I've said too much.
You have said too much. You've said more than you normally do.
I know, but I'm excited. That's why.
Okay. Come on, round it up. Round it
I
up.
can't believe. Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you'll just be you going, I can't believe it. And you've watched it so many times. So come on, round it up, love.
Right, okay. Well, we will see you in a couple of weeks for the Oscars. You can follow us on Twitter at 2watchwho and Instagram at 2watchwho. And you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. Would you like to say anything?
No, I'm good.
I think, yeah, we're all just going to have a rest. I just can't cope right now.
No, you're a mess. Like,
I don't know
You've
why.
watched this more than
I don't know,
me.
something's happened. Just got a bit sad.
no, I feel like I'm excited for I really just want to crack on to the next now. That's how I feel. I'm like, bring
Brilliant.
on.
Let's bring it on.
Colours like, ooh, but cool, bring it.
Okay, well, we'll see you then.
Bye.
To watch who?
Okay, hi everyone. This is just a little extra bit at the end of this week's episode because we were just recording and we found out that Jackie Lane, Dodo, has passed away. Oh, that's really sad, isn't it?
It is sad, yeah.
Oh.
The way Mark said it, though, we just finished and Mark was like, oh my God. Oh, and I was like, what, are you all right? And then you were quiet for a while and he went, Jackie Lane's died. I thought it was like the Queen or something, the way that you were.
Well, I know. Oh, well, that is sad. Because
But it is really sad. Don't get me wrong.
is,
You just
because
shocked
it's
me.
It's a character that we've talked about.
Yeah, and we really like Dodo.
We really like Dodo.
Yeah.
And it's just, and this is like a character that you know and the
Yeah.
actor that we've talked about
Yeah.
that you know
Yeah.
as well. So I just thought we'd just record just to say, I don't know really. I just thought we would just
Say it's sad to hear and what a great character she was and her impact on Doctor Who and the universe.
Was, yeah, because I think her character at the time might not have been liked particularly.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I think there is more
Dodo love now.
Dodo love now than ever.
Yeah.
And she was such a breath of fresh air as Dodo coming into the arc.
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah. Her entrance is just brilliant. It's just what was needed at that time.
Because I thought, it's going to go either way when you see Dodo. You're either going to really not like her.
Yeah. And of course,
really
you had a
appreciate-
Dodo chaplet Twitter.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Which I still can't get into, so I forgot about that. Yeah, so I just wanted to say, it's just really sad that we just had the news.
Yeah.
So we just thought we'd just
Acknowledge it.
acknowledge it. Yeah.